All right, today is June 15th, 2024. We're at Columbia Heights Day. This is Dan Kerr. Could you tell me your name?
Yes, my name is Austin Gill. And should I look at the camera or should I look at you?
You can do both. Typically, I would say look at me.
Okay, I'll do that.
And then could you tell me about your connection to Columbia Heights?
Yeah, so I live in kind of the North Columbia Heights area. I moved here right after I graduated undergrad at University of Maryland College Park. So I've been living in the neighborhood for about 2 years now, and I really, really like it.
And what drew you to this particular neighborhood?
What drew me to it was the fact that it had its own unique culture that you don't see in a lot of other neighborhoods, especially neighborhoods that are more affordable to people who are, right out of undergrad or aren't really established in their careers or in the city. So a lot of my peers, they might move to other neighborhoods like Noma or like Navy Yard, where prices and rents might be comparable, but to me, they don't have the same authentic culture or feeling of community that Columbia Heights had. So that really drew me to moving to this area, and the fact that it has everything I need, all the shops, all the grocery stores, and everything is so close and walkable, with downtown being really accessible as well, was really a big plus.
Oh, that's terrific. Okay, this might be a difficult question, but I'm going to ask you, how would you describe the neighborhood culture?
Yeah, what immediately comes to mind is there's a big Latin influence, which you don't see a lot in DC. And my mother's side of the family is Colombian, so that was something that kind of resonated with me and that I noticed like right off the bat when I moved to the area. There's a lot of great like Hispanic and Latin food markets that are all along 14th Street and in Mount Pleasant as well, neighboring area. So I think that's something that immediately comes to mind. Something else that also comes to mind is just the landscape and the architecture is distinctly Columbia Heights as well. All the row homes and how they're all similar but also unique at the same time. I think it's something you see throughout DC, but especially in Columbia Heights, that definitely has a big footprint as well.
That's great. And so I know you did a card on the side of the truck about your hopes for the future for the neighborhood, and I wonder if you might tell us about that.
Yeah, so I remarked on how as Columbia Heights looks towards the future and hopes to make progress, there's so many things that the city in general and the neighborhood can improve on, in terms of being accessible to people who live here and remaining affordable, addressing crime and things like that. But as we progress, keeping in mind what makes us unique, and it's the culture, it's the people, it's our landscapes, it's the buildings, it's the architecture, frankly, and preserving that while making progress and improving on some really important markers, I think will be key to improving the neighborhood while also preserving what makes it distinct in the city.
Oh, that's great. And okay, there's my more difficult question, but how do you think we could preserve that moving forward?
Yeah, I'm sure there's tons of policies aimed at keeping people who have lived in the neighborhood here for so long in their houses so that they don't get pushed out or really suffer the negative effects of like gentrification, for example. But I think on a more micro scale, I'd like to see some of our buildings preserved. There's been a lot of buildings like on my block that are just traditional DC row homes, and they might be old or they might be blighted, but they get totally ripped out and replaced with like a 4-story condo block that is just like, one, not appealing, and two, doesn't really respect what makes the neighborhood unique and historic and beautiful to live in. So I'd like to see some things like that preserved more strongly, because it is a shame seeing the bones of a nice old building being ripped out and replaced with something that is, one, going to be too expensive for most residents in the neighborhood, but two, don't have much architectural or historic value. And who knows if they're even good quality. So I've heard a lot about the new buildings and some difficulties that they're having in terms of how they're constructed. So I think that's might be like a small change that I think would have a big impact on preserving how the neighborhood feels.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.